Welcome in to Mailbox Sports, Bears TV edition. I am your host, Postman 1914. Today we are talking wrap up of the 2025 NFL Combine. Uh, the importance of this particular exercise is for those prospects looking to enter the NFL draft. This sets the stage for fans like you and I to go ahead and know exactly who to watch. With that being said, while I believe the actual game film to be the most critical portion of the interview to any of our competitors in these particular NFL prospects in the combine, I do believe that the combine exercises for smaller, lesser known talent and those other persons that are from larger schools to be noticed, and it is critical to the interview process. With that being said, join me tonight as we dive into some of those combine prospects. My puppy becomes unruly, and we try to look back at who shined and who didn't quite make the mark. Today, we will try to focus in a bit more of an in-depth process as far as the focus goes on the combine. We do understand, or at least I do, that certain activities, exercises, or drills, whichever the word you might want to use, are graded or looked at in terms of being weighed more heavily. Things like the bench press, 40-yard dash, as we all know and love, the vertical jump, and some other drills are things that people may look at. Whereas when you have those offensive linemen, 10-yard splits, the three-cone drills, the long jumps, you so on and so forth. We have a lot of different activities that are participated in from the weigh-in down to the pay-off in terms of those performances. And so today we know all too well that some of those particular drills can propel or have someone rise up the draft board, as we call it. And so today we're going to try to go ahead, nail down some of the most talented players and performers in the NFL's prospective list, i.e., the college players that are gaining entry into the 2025 NFL Draft. We will look at those top performers from the combine. Some of those will pertain to persons that I think the Bears could potentially go after. Some of those teams, or players, I should say, are just flat out combine risers, and I want to give them the just due because you never know if that guy may be on a team near you. Without further ado, we will start with my favorite, the ultimate measure of speed and the most heavily analyzed and publicized activity in drill, as we know, the 40-yard dash. 40-yard dash this year did not get to the Xavier Worthy range, which I believe was 4.21. But I do believe that, as usual, we got a nice relative burst. And I think that 4.28 held by one DB from Kentucky, I believe, Max Hairston, is duly worthy of getting praise, even with it being 7/10 of a second slower. We'll go with that. My math ain't mathing, but maybe it is. Also, when it comes to players like wide receivers, the Bears might have to look into grabbing another depth receiver for speed, somebody that may be coming across the middle, or maybe somebody that's a special teams type of guy. That guy might be one Matt Golden. Sorry about that. Matt Golden ran a 4.29. And I'm going to give you the top four, top five if I have available to me for all of those things. Also, rounding out the pass catchers, Terrence Ferguson clocked in fourth at a 4.63. Wide receiver, DB, tight end, and the last skill position that I think with speed truly impacts you at the running back position, Byshul Tootin, I believe is his name, with a 4.32. Cash, could you please stop? Sorry, everybody. I do have a 1-year-old golden doodle. He is super rambunctious, and whenever I hit this live button, he likes to go ahead and play with every toy. My apologies. With that being said, the 40 It gives us a credence into maybe how fast a DB can recover on a given pass or stay up with a speedy receiver. It gives us that burst that we might think that a running back needs to hit the hole and go the distance. And it also gives us some opportunities to see that maybe, just maybe, a tight end has the same opportunity to go ahead and get down the line, get up the field, and possibly score just as fast as those wide receivers do. Without further ado, we will try to get into a bit more of the top performance and some other particular dreams. Dreams. How do we have dreams? I'm dreaming of the combine. Nonetheless, for these drills here, I believe we will talk about the bench press. For me, the bench press, while could be a measure of strength that gives you total insight into your offensive lineman, defensive lineman, linebackers, and anyone for that particular matter, I do not know that it is the end-all, be-all to give you the actual metric that was put on film to know if that strength is actually warranted when it comes to being needed on the field. Nonetheless, an impressive display of strength, in my opinion, is always going to be oozing of machismo. Shout out to Razor Ramon. But we're going to go ahead and talk about the top 5 bench presses. And I think, for myself, we will focus on it from a more offensive and defensive lineman. Those are the guys that I think battle each other one-on-one the most, so I do believe they might actually need that. So let's focus in. We have Ethan Downs, 32 bench press. And pardon me for being a novice. I do not know exactly what it is, but I believe it's 225 on the reps. So 32 reps at 225 for Ethan Downs, Mike Green. And we got a tie for the next 3 people, so just go ahead and shout out to 28 with all 3 of them. That goes to Mike Green, Sean Martin, and Baron Sorrell. Now, pardon myself, I have not researched all the schools, but we do have something coming up on one of my new episodes Wednesday nights that will be the wish list of the Bears. And so those prospects that I would hope that the Bears would go ahead and grab, trust and believe I know what school they came from and how they apply to my beloveds. And rounding out the top 5 and what we call the strongman competition over here at Mailbox Sports, Tyler Batty, 27 reps of 225. I think I can do a good 3 for the founders. I know I can do 2. The third one, we're going to need a spot. Don't judge me. I don't weigh 225. Still. Well, judge me if you want. I won't be doing it. It is, like I said, a bit of a hardship to judge that particular drill. However, it does factor in heavily as it has been a staple and will not leave. And so when we talk about offensive linemen and defensive linemen, the O-line, I watch ESPN 1000. I listen to it. I embrace it. The great John Yurkovich always says that the 10-yard split is the true measure of an offensive lineman in terms of the speed that they need, not the 40-yard dash. So with that being said, I did want to pay focus on that particular drill because the Bears are in need of offensive linemen, and why not look at what those guys might do best in terms of persons that did the drill well and might be particular prospects to be brought in and drafted by the Bears. And so with that, 1.71, we have a Josh Connerly Jr., also Tate Ratledge, 172, along with Jonah Savayanea. Say that 2 times fast. I can't say it once. Clay Webb and Jarrett Wilson round out the top 5 in that one. Also some notables for myself in that particular drill. Armand Mimbu, and from the small yet mighty school of North Dakota State, Gray Zabel. Say that name again and keep eyes on it because I do believe that Gray will be a target. We'll hold it for myself later on. Top prospects, while we talk about how the draft is weighed heavily on tape and combine, persons who didn't do so well or maybe a bit more mediocre as we talk about are some of the more well-noted players in terms of prospect, and that would be guys like Will Campbell, Tyler Booker, etc. Some of those guys scored in the mid-range, and so while they scored mid-range in that particular, it does not deter other players' tape from being analyzed, poured over, and making a selection based on what you think in the combination of things, including the combine. To go ahead and wrap up tonight, we will talk about those standout performances and those players. Could be players of the Bears, like I said, may look into drafting or potentially at least bringing in for visits. Some they might have already done so. And also those guys who may have to do a bit better on their pro days and some other interviews just to go ahead and reestablish or totally establish some of their credibility. My apologies. With that being said, standout performers in no particular order goes to a Quinshon Judkins. I know he's a running back. I know he goes to Ohio State. I live in Ohio. They talk about him a lot. Go fight, win. You have, my friend, as they say, your size and speed stood out to scouts, and that will vault you up that board. You are a riser. Also, we talked about his 4.32 speed in the 40-yard dash. That 40 time boosted a Byshul Tootin, the running back for Virginia Tech, into a bit more of a prominent feature. He will be looked at as one of those running backs that people look to get in the mid to later rounds. Keep your eye on these names because they may be names that come to your team. Also, we have Jaden Higgins. That guy is a wonderful wide receiver from Iowa State University. They say the vertical jump in the 40 solidified his position, and so that means that 40 time once again, and a vertical jump because that means he's going up to win balls in the air is critical to this young man and to his more diminutive yet speedy teammate. The broad jump and the vertical for young Jalen Noel, also from Iowa State, kind of gave light to him. So be on the lookout for those particular names. They may be persons of interest to your team and to mine, Bears fans. As we know, special teams and wide receiver depth are things that they will always look into. So do not overlook the wide receivers that I mentioned. Also, as we state, when we have those that rise, there are others that fall or may need to work a bit more on their craft to get things going in their pro days and respective other visits. That might be one Oregon wide receiver, Tej Johnson. While he already had a slight frame, he's a bit slower than people would have anticipated. So when you're small, people expect you to be fast. Tej, put your go fasters on. Show them at your pro day that your 40 time was just a bit off. You had a bit too much water that day, and you're going to get back on the horse. And Ulysses Bentley the fourth. Ole Miss running back, and I believe they say the broad and the vertical were not his strong suits, along with a slower 40 time, and that kind of affected his weekend. Woo. He will go ahead down in Ole Miss, Starkville, I believe. Nope, that's Mississippi State. Don't worry about my geographic location. I know they're all there. Maybe Oxford. Who knows? At his pro day, Ulysses will get the chance to go ahead and be granted the opportunity to prove himself again. And with that, in short, like I said, the combine has potential to allow prospects to vote up said draft boards individually and collectively. And sometimes those particular drills allow somebody just to remain steady and solidify stock. However, on the inverse of that, sometimes the things that you do at the combine may spill over into your pro day, and it may just take that draft stock that you had and bring it down a bit. Interviews or whatever the case may be, whether they believe you're brash, cocky, or abrasive, anything to that degree in interviews may be held against you. And so, young men, I urge you to take this second portion of your interview just as important as the film that you have of gameplay. And to wrap up, I encourage anyone who has their own standout performances, those persons that they have comments about that I have mentioned, and any of your favorite prospects in general from the combine, please go ahead and mention those guys in the comments. Let me know what their particular times were in their respective drills, and if you think those might be prospective draft prospects to come to your team. With that being said, I also want to encourage everyone to tune in every Wednesday evening, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Mailbox Sports goes live. I want you to go ahead, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Check out the content on the page. We do shorts, live content, and videos that we are going to try to upload more and more so that we can get your support, gain a total community in the postal gang, and go ahead and unbox all of this mail, sort it out, stamp out the facts, and deliver those hard-hitting analysis that you guys love so much. With that being said, we wrap up. We talk to you later. Please check us out Wednesday nights, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. I am your host, your Postmaster General and Sports Aficionado, Postman 1914, signing off.